The views expressed on the Lusaka Star are not in any way the radio station standards. Radio station standards. In the radio, promoting it.
Sweep over my soul. Sweep over my soul. Though the rolling light gets low, just sweep over my soul. Dingy light, sweep over my soul. Sweep over my soul. Though the billows roll and tempests blow, Jaja will sweep over my soul. Every day, every morning, I will sing a song of praise to Him. Hail the King of Kings. Every day, I will rise. Every morning, I will sing. Every evening, I will lift my voice in praise. Oh Lord, sweep over my soul. Sweep over my soul. Though the billows roll and tempests blow, sweep over my soul. I hear a voice is calling from somewhere out there. A voice is singing somewhere in my ear. And I know that I must rise and sing my heart and pray and sing for Jah Almighty. I say sweep over my soul.
The views expressed on the Lusaka Star are not in any way the radio station standards. Radio station standards. In the radio, promoting it.
A lovely morning to you, our listeners. This is the Friday Sports edition of the Lusaka Star that comes your way every Friday from 7:30 to 9 hours. I'm your presenter, Maurice Shimao, and in studio with me, I'm joined in by a phone interview. I'm joined in by National Sports Council of Zambia Secretary General Boniface Kambikambi. So you can get interactive with us by getting in touch through our landline, that is on 0211 293435, or better, you can alternatively text us through our through our mobile line, that is on 0977525084. Good morning, Mr. Kambikambi.
Good morning, thank you. Just a correction, I'm from National Olympic Committee of Zambia.
Oh, sorry. So thank you, sir, for that collection. Welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
And the first question still stands. I do understand that coronavirus has affected a lot of sports disciplines, and your field has not been exempted, and I'm sure you have been trying to survive amid the pandemic. But I would first start with the interview by asking you what are some of the achievements that you've made even prior to this pandemic?
Yeah, obviously, thank you so much. Our focus for this year or even last year was towards the Tokyo 2020, which you are aware that was Tokyo last year. So our target was to try and support the various associations that athletes targeted to qualify to participate in those games. And at this point, I'm glad to note that some of the federations that we supported, like boxing, we supported three boxers, that's with Ministry of Sport, as well as the National Sports Council, to send three boxers to Senegal who went for the qualifiers.
Mm.
I know the 3 boxers qualified to the game, so that's a good achievement for Zambia to have 3 boxers qualified at the same time to the games. Besides that, we also been supporting the other athletes like judoka, who was based in France at the High Performance Center in preparation for Tokyo 2020 as well, where it was competition and training and so on. And so that's been our drive for this pandemic. A few other aspects of CN we supported, like handball and hockey and rugby. Unfortunately, did not make the qualifiers, but I think they went to rounds where we can confidently say that they are making trades within their federations for the future games as well.
No, I do understand, sir, that I think your main target has always been to make sure that you cover the country. Maybe your presence is felt in all the provinces, but I do understand that maybe to some extent Copper Belt and Lusaka have always been dominating in terms of having player representation. Any plans that you are maybe putting in place to make sure that you don't only concentrate on these 2 provinces, but make sure that you have at least 5 or 6 provinces being very active in terms of participation of their players?
Yeah, actually, we don't focus on the provinces. You remember that as an institution, National Olympic Committee don't necessarily have athletes under them. Our athletes dependency is in the federation. So federations affiliate to us, and they are the ones that are on the ground. We simply begin to support their elite athletes once they reach a level of regional or international competition. And that is where we come in and try and support to increase their level of participation, their level of training for major competitions. So the onus in terms of reaching out to all the provinces really is the federation, and we've been encouraging our federation. One of the things that we've done to try and ensure that part of the structure is supported is to support the federation by hosting them in sports development admin costs, and I'm glad that we over the last few years we've done quite a number of admin courses. Now this encourages the federations to bring some of the executive members who are dotted around the country in their various committees to come together to understand the operations of the Olympic movement in order for them to ensure that they deal with government issues, organizational effectiveness issues in order to support the athletes that they see in the other provinces. We've also been using that, put a team together to review strategic plans for most of the federations so that we ensure that they can reach far-fetched areas in the country and not only concentrate on the line of rail.
And how have you been surviving now? There's COVID-19. Most of the sports have been put on hold. I do understand that Tokyo was supposed to have the Olympics just this year, but they've been postponed to next year. And I'm sure even on a local scene, you had some of the plans that you are looking forward to achieve, but because of COVID-19, they have actually disturbed you. How has the impact of COVID-19 disturbed most of the plans that you had this year?
Yeah, I mean, these have been tough times, but we appreciate that everybody experiencing this. It's been negatively impacted, especially that this physical meeting is not there. Athletes cannot train. Some of the programs have to be shelved off, which require meeting. So what we have done on our end before, areas where we need to continue planning and enhancing the technical development, is that we've continued having virtual meetings so that we don't necessarily lose the battle completely in terms of collaborating with the athletes and officials, coaches and so on, as a way of encouraging them. So, and some of the athletes we tried to help them through some of their needs, their personal needs as well, just to support towards the pandemic, such as food and equipment, and just encourage them to continue training even on their own, within their own spaces as well. Obviously, it's not the same thing. For example, if you're a boxer, you need a sparring partner for you to really advance, but you can still maintain your fitness. It might not be the best tool. So the impact really has been did run a virtual run, and there we try to encourage as many athletes, including the local Zambia, to actually participate. And we're glad to know that a number of them ran on their own in their own spaces. It's just another way of adding to the fact that they should continue staying in shape and so on, and keep focusing on the Olympic Games that are yet to, they have still planned to be there, but obviously next year.
Now, come 2021, do you feel most of the players, not only in Zambia but even in Africa, we do understand that in terms of having these facilities that you can have, maybe in your own house, maybe you find that our it's a different case, in as much as this COVID-19, social distancing, they do have their personal gyms, keeping themselves very fit. But on the Zambian setup, I do understand that most of the players, in as much as they have been having their personal trainings, it wasn't the same like it was maybe a year ago, on where you could meet with your fellow colleagues. Do you feel it will be disadvantaged coming next year in participating for Tokyo 2021?
Actually, the platform is really the same for across the world. Obviously, others may have more facilities than we do, but we will use the facility that we have to maximize our preparations. And I'm glad to know that a few centers, high-performance centers, are beginning to open up. For example, where our judoka was based in France, that center is now going to be open. I think it is open. But the challenge now is that once the flights are all ready to start traveling from Africa and so on, then we'll get back to our athletes to go to that center, so that we continue training, as well as we're trying to make arrangements for our boxers as well. Locally, we'll use the OIDC Sports Development Center. Once the authorities, the Ministry of Health, have done an assessment and social distancing and physical meeting is allowed, we will enhance those opportunities and look at other nearest high-performance centers for us then to get our athletes to fast track their competition. I know it will be a toll because the time will not be there, and so a lot of intensive work would have to be done prior to the Olympic Games because of the time.
But how has been the response in terms of training by the players that actually, especially those that have already qualified for next year's Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, so far the indications that we've been having is that they have continued to train. And some of our boxers are also being supported with some of the professional boxing that are into quarries as well, just to support the program that the federation is doing. From an individual perspective, our technical team are on the ground monitoring the various athletes that qualified, and we are happy at the moment that at least they are keeping to a level of fitness and interaction in order for them to be ready to intensify that once the physical distancing is cleared.
All right, and as you're coming to the end of the show, maybe what would you like to just air to the listeners out there?
I think COVID is here. I mean, it's obvious we're dealing with a new normal, but sport has to continue because it's also an economic booster, and we need to keep encouraging our young people to ensure that they observe the social distancing, washing of their hands, while at the same time we want them to achieve their sports status, because some of them need to build careers in this, and the career is not stop now. So if we know of athletes that are around us that are, that perhaps are not managing themselves, we just need to encourage them that the focus still remains, because not only on the Olympics, the various games that are still pending, we've got Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games, and so on, and also youth competitions and so on. I'm also aware that for the young people as well, the Regional 6, the Region 5 games that were due to be held in Lesotho this year in December, obviously have been moved to next year. So that's another focus area. So the opportunities are there, but we need to ensure that we remain focused, we remain committed, and just encourage the coaches and the athletes to continue adhering to the health standards worldwide, ensuring that
Thank you very much, sir, for making an appearance.